Have you ever found yourself in the middle of an action, a commitment you've just made, and a cold wave of realization washes over you? This wasn't what I wanted. How did I end up here? It's a strange and subtle form of drift. You start a conversation with your own intentions clear in your mind, but somewhere along the way, under the gentle pressure of someone else's words, their expectations, their needs, your own inner compass begins to spin. You act almost blindly, guided not by your own will, but by the subtle, persistent current of their influence. You find yourself nodding, hearing the word yes leave your lips as if it belongs to someone else. It's only later, in the quiet, that the true cost settles in. A feeling of being hollowed out, a sense that a silent transaction has taken place where you paid with a piece of your own sovereignty. To make this feeling tangible, let's talk about Tommy. On the surface, Tommy's life is fine. He's a talented graphic designer known for his reliability, but that reliability has become a cage. In his relationships, especially with his friend Jordan, he perpetually feels like he's on the losing end. The dynamic isn't a single act of betrayal, but a death by 1,000 paper cuts, a slow, creeping erosion of his self-worth. It's the small things, at first. Jordan forgetting his wallet when they go out for lunch, leaving Tommy to pick up the tab with an easy, "Oh man, you're a lifesaver. I'll get you next time." Of course, next time rarely comes. It's the brainstorming sessions where Tommy pours out his best creative ideas, only to see Jordan present those very concepts in a meeting days later with a casual, "Yeah, Tommy and I were spitballing, and then I had this breakthrough." The manipulation escalates. It seeps into his finances. Jordan, full of charismatic energy, pitches a surefire startup idea. "Tommy, you're my best friend. I'm letting you in on the ground floor. I just need a small loan to get the prototype built. You'll get it back, plus interest, in 6 months. I swear." The amount isn't small, but Jordan frames it as a test of their friendship, an opportunity Tommy would be foolish to miss. Tommy feels a profound unease, a screaming internal alarm, but the fear of disappointing Jordan, of being seen as unsupportive, is even louder. He transfers the money. 6 months pass, then a year. The topic of repayment is met with vague promises or, worse, accusations. "Wow, I'm under so much pressure and you're worried about money? I thought you believed in me." To understand why someone as intelligent and capable as Tommy gets stuck in this pattern, we need to look beneath the surface, at the invisible scripts running his subconscious. In psychology, Schema Therapy, developed by Dr. Jeffrey Young, provides a powerful lens. Schemas are deep, pervasive patterns of thought and feeling, typically formed in childhood, that act as blueprints for our adult lives. Tommy's behavior is a classic manifestation of the subjugation schema. This is an ingrained belief that one's own needs, desires, and feelings are invalid or unimportant compared to the needs of others. To survive and feel loved, one must surrender their own will. We can almost imagine a young Tommy, perhaps growing up with a parent who was emotionally volatile or highly critical, learning that the only way to achieve peace and earn praise was to be quiet, helpful, and never, ever be a bother. He learned that his worth was not inherent, but was conditional upon his utility to others. This isn't a conscious thought, but a deep emotional truth that governs his adult reactions. It works in tandem with an approval-seeking schema, an excessive need for recognition and acceptance, making him incredibly vulnerable to anyone who wields praise and disappointment as tools of control. Jordan, on the other hand, operates from a different psychological framework. His actions are not mere carelessness or neediness. They are a masterclass in what psychologist Dr. George K. Simon terms covert aggression in his seminal book In Sheep's Clothing. Covert aggression is a hidden, disguised form of interpersonal combat. It's a way of fighting for what you want, dominating others, and neutralizing their resistance without ever looking like the bad guy. Let's dissect Jordan's tactics through this lens. His victim playing, "I'll be here all night by myself," is a way to frame his demand as a plight, making Tommy's refusal seem cruel. His rationalization for the unpaid loan, "I'm under so much pressure," is a way to reframe his irresponsibility as a burden he's heroically carrying, turning Tommy's legitimate request into an act of persecution. He uses seduction, showering Tommy with praise like, "You're the most talented designer I know," to lower his defenses right before asking for a huge favor. He is a skilled psychological fighter, and Tommy has been entering the ring unarmed. The cumulative effect of this covert aggression is the slow, poisoning process of gaslighting. Dr. Robin Stern, in her book The Gaslight Effect, describes this as the manipulator's attempt to make you doubt your own reality, your own sanity. Tommy is living through the 3 stages she outlines. First came disbelief. "He didn't mean to steal my idea. It must be a misunderstanding." In this stage, you dismiss unsettling events as strange one. Offs. Then comes defense. Tommy finds himself constantly trying to prove his reality to Jordan and to himself. He might say, "Hey, about that loan, it's been over a year now," only for Jordan to expertly turn it around. "You know, I've always seen you as a generous, big picture guy. It's weird to see you getting so hung up on details like this. Is everything okay with you?" Notice the insidious shift. The conversation is no longer about the loan. It's about Tommy's character and stability. This constant defense is exhausting and leads directly to the third, most devastating stage, depression. Tommy begins to internalize Jordan's narrative. He thinks, "Maybe I am being petty. Maybe a good friend wouldn't bring it up. Maybe the problem really is me." He lives in a constant state of confusion, anxiety, and self-doubt. His reality has been hijacked. How does one begin to escape this psychological prison? The first step is not a grand confrontation. It is a quiet, radical act of inner rebellion. It is the practice of mindfulness, as defined by its modern pioneer, Jon Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. This practice is not just a spiritual nicety, it has profound neurological benefits. When we feel threatened as Tommy does when he anticipates conflictor amygdala, the brain's primitive fear center hijacks our thinking. It triggers an automatic fight, flight, freeze, or please response. Mindfulness practice, even just a few minutes a day, has been shown to strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for executive functions like rational thought, emotional regulation, and impulse control. It effectively calms the amygdala. By taking a mindful pause when a request is made, Tommy has given his prefrontal cortex a chance to come online and wrestle control back from his panicked amygdala. Let's try a micro practice right now. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes, take one deep breath. Now bring to mind a small, recent annoyance. Not a major trauma, just a minor irritation. As you hold it in your mind, scan your body. Where do you feel it? Is there a tightness in your jaw, a clenching in your stomach, a heat in your chest? Don't try to change the feeling. Don't judge it. Just notice it. Acknowledge it. Breathe into it. What you are doing is observing the data of your inner world without being consumed by it. That knot in Tommy's stomach is not his enemy, it is data. It is his body's wisdom signaling that a boundary is being threatened. This mindful pause creates a sacred space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies all his power to choose a different path. If this idea of using psychology to decode your own life is resonating, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes together, providing you with scientifically backed tools not just to cope, but to truly transform. The journey Tommy is embarking on, from being an unconscious participant in his own subjugation to becoming a conscious architect of his life, is the very essence of developing what psychologist Daniel Goleman, in his groundbreaking book Emotional Intelligence, argues is the single strongest predictor of life success. Goleman's research showed that IQ might get you in the door, but it's your EI that determines how well you do once you're there. Emotional intelligence is the antidote to manipulation because it equips you with the tools to manage the two people involved in any interaction, yourself and the other person. Let's break down how Tommy can systematically build his EI. The first, non-negotiable pillar is self-awareness. This is Tommy's true awakening. It's moving from the vague fog of the gaslight effect to a crystal clear understanding of his emotional and psychological landscape. Mindfulness is the primary tool here, but he can deepen this practice with journaling. He could start a boundary journal with specific prompts. 1. After which conversations or interactions today did I feel energized? And after which did I feel drained? 2. Describe one moment today where I felt obligated to say yes. What was the story I told myself about what would happen if I said no? 3. When did I feel that knot in my stomach today? What was happening at that moment? This practice is not about navel gazing. It's about data collection. He is becoming a scientist of his own experience, mapping out his triggers, his automatic thought patterns, schemas, and his emotional responses. This self-awareness is the bedrock of change. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Once you have awareness, the next pillar is self-regulation. This is where the self-improvement journey becomes tangible. It's the ability to manage your internal state, especially under pressure. It's feeling the heat of the amygdala's fear, but choosing to act from the cool logic of the prefrontal cortex. This is incredibly difficult at first. Tommy can use a simple, structured approach like the P.A.U.S.E method. Pause. Never give an immediate answer to a significant request. Create space with phrases like, "Let me think about that and get back to you." Assess. In that space, honestly assess the request against your own values, energy, and resources. Understand your deeper yes. Saying no to Jordan's project is saying yes to your own peace of mind. State your boundary clearly, simply, and firmly. Endure the discomfort of the other person's reaction without immediately trying to fix it. Let's script this out. Jordan asks Tommy for help on another emergency weekend project. Old Tommy, yeah, of course. What time? New Tommy, practicing self-regulation. Pause. Hey Jordan, let me check my schedule and see what's possible. I'll text you in an hour. Assess. In that hour, Tommy realizes he is exhausted and had planned to recharge. The cost of saying yes is his mental health for the week. Understand, his yes is to his own recovery. State. He texts, "Hey, I've checked, and unfortunately I won't be able to make it this weekend. Hope you get it all sorted." Endure. Jordan replies with the predictable guilt trip. "Wow, really thought I could count on you. This puts me in a really bad spot." Tommy feels the immense urge to apologize and cave, but he endures the discomfort. He might not reply, or he might send a final, firm message. "I understand it's a tough spot. I'm sure you'll figure it out." The silence that follows is not a failure, but the sound of his self-respect being rebuilt. For more extreme manipulators, a tool like the gray rock method can be a form of self-regulation. This involves making yourself as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. When the manipulator tries to provoke a reaction, you give them nothing. Short, factual answers. No emotional engagement. This starves them of the drama and attention they feed on, and they often lose interest. This brings us to a crucial re-examination of empathy, the third pillar of EI. Tommy's subjugation schema has convinced him that empathy means self-annihilation, but this is a profound distortion. Renowned researcher Dr. Brené Brown offers a life-changing reframe. She teaches that clear is kind, unclear is unkind. A vague maybe that leaves the other person hanging and fills you with resentment is profoundly unkind to both parties. A resentful yes that leads to passive aggression and shoddy work is unkind. A clear, firm, but respectful no is an act of profound kindness. It's honest. It respects your own limits, and it respects the other person enough to give them the truth so they can make other plans. It's also crucial to distinguish empathy from codependency. Empathy is feeling with someone. Codependency is feeling for them and taking on their feelings and problems as your own responsibility. True empathy for Jordan would be to say, I can hear how stressed you are about this project. That sounds really tough, without adding, so I will sacrifice my weekend to fix it for you. You can hold space for their feelings without taking responsibility for them. The final pillar, which integrates the other three, is social skill and relationship management. This is the art of using your self-awareness, self-regulation, and true empathy to build healthier, reciprocal relationships. This is the long-term goal. As Tommy practices, he learns to renegotiate the terms of his relationships. He can test if the friendship with Jordan is salvageable. After setting a boundary, he observes, does Jordan respect it? Or does he punish Tommy with silence, gossip, or more manipulation? A healthy person, when faced with a new boundary, might be surprised at first, but will ultimately adapt and respect it. A manipulator will see it as a declaration of war. This observation gives Tommy the data he needs to decide whether this is a relationship he can renegotiate or one he needs to gracefully exit. This is high-level social skill, managing relationships not based on hope, but on the reality of the other person's behavior. The transformation isn't instantaneous. It's a messy, non-linear journey of self-improvement. There will be days Tommy sets a boundary perfectly. There will be days he slips, the old schema taking over. But the difference now is his mindful awareness. He can notice a slip without harsh self-criticism and think, okay, I fell back into my people-pleasing pattern there. What was the trigger? What can I learn for next time? The goal is not perfection, but progress. The ripple effect of this work is astounding. As he reclaims his energy from the draining relationship with Jordan, he finds he has more to give to his work, his other, healthier friendships, and most importantly, to himself. He is no longer just a supporting character in everyone else's story. He is slowly, painstakingly becoming the protagonist of his own. He started as a victim of his own psychological scripts, an unwitting participant in a game he didn't understand. Through the difficult, courageous practice of building his emotional intelligence, he is rewriting those scripts. His cup is no longer perpetually empty because he has learned the most crucial lesson of all. He is the one responsible for filling it. His no is not an act of rejection, but a sacred, life-affirming yes to his own dignity, his own peace, and his own future. So I leave you with a gentle, practical challenge. Don't try to solve everything at once. Just focus on the first step. For the next week, choose one small, low-stakes area of your life. It could be with a colleague, a family member, or even a pushy salesperson. And in that one area, practice the mindful pause. When a request is made, give yourself 5 seconds before you answer. Breathe. Notice the feeling in your body. Notice the automatic yes that wants to jump out. You don't even have to say no yet. Just practice creating that space. That space is the birthplace of your freedom. It is the first step on the most important journey you will ever take, the journey back to yourself.